My husband let his friend stay the night, but I wasn't ready for what happened next. I never thought one ordinary night could change the way I looked at my marriage forever. It started off so casually. My husband, Daniel, told me his old friend Jake was passing through town and needed a place to crash for the night. I didn't think much of it. Jake and Daniel had been friends since college, and even though I'd only met him once before, he seemed polite enough. A little too charming, maybe, but harmless. At least, that's what I told myself. That evening, I made dinner for the three of us. We laughed, talked about old memories, and everything felt normal. But later that night, something shifted. Daniel went to bed early. He had work in the morning, and I stayed up, tidying up and finishing a few things around the house. That's when Jake came into the kitchen again. His tone was different this time, softer, more personal. At first, I thought he just wanted to chat, but the things he said, the way he looked at me, it didn't feel right. I tried to brush it off, told myself maybe I was reading too much into it. But then he said something I'll never forget, something that made my stomach turn and my hands shake. And just like that, the entire energy in the room changed. I wanted to tell Daniel, but how could I? This was his best friend, the man he trusted enough to invite into our home. Would he even believe me? I didn't sleep that night, not because I wasn't tired, but because I couldn't. Something about Jake didn't sit right with me. And the next morning, something happened that confirmed every single fear I'd buried deep inside. The next morning, I woke up before the sun. I hadn't actually slept, just stared at the ceiling, my mind looping over everything Jake had said the night before. His words kept echoing, and no matter how much I tried to shake them off, something inside me told me not to ignore them. I heard movement downstairs, soft footsteps, and the clinking of a mug. I stayed in bed a little longer, unsure if I should face him or pretend nothing happened. Daniel was already gone for work. He'd left a note on the kitchen counter like he always did. Love you. See you tonight. I stood there staring at the note while Jake sat at the table sipping coffee like he belonged there. He smiled when he saw me, casual and calm, like the awkward tension from last night never happened. I forced a smile back, pretending everything was fine, but my heart was racing. Over the next few minutes, I tried to keep the conversation light, but Jake kept dropping strange comments, little things that made me question what his real intentions were. He mentioned how lonely he'd been lately, how some people are meant to find comfort in unexpected places. It felt like he was trying to say something without really saying it. I wanted to call Daniel, tell him I wasn't comfortable with Jake staying any longer. But again, that thought came rushing back. Would he think I was overreacting? Daniel trusted Jake. They had history, and Jake hadn't exactly done anything I could point to. Not yet. It was all just subtle. Too subtle to explain over the phone without sounding paranoid. Still, something felt off. I couldn't explain it, but I started to notice small things, like how Jake's backpack was unzipped and sitting on the edge of the couch, but it looked like it had been rummaged through, or how he seemed to know his way around the house a little too well, opening the right cabinets, knowing where we kept things without asking. Maybe it was nothing, or maybe he'd been paying closer attention than I realized. And then I found something in the guest room that didn't belong to us, something that made me freeze in place, because it proved Jake had been in a part of the house no guest should have been. It was a silver bracelet, nothing flashy, thin with a small heart-shaped charm. But it wasn't mine. I never wore jewelry like that. And I knew without a doubt it didn't belong to Daniel either. I found it half hidden under the edge of the guest bed while I was trying to straighten the sheets. My heart skipped a beat. I stood there, staring at it, wondering if maybe Jake had someone over while we were asleep. Or worse, if someone had been in our house when we didn't even know. I didn't confront him right away. Instead, I put the bracelet in my pocket and went back downstairs, trying to act normal. But inside, my mind was spinning. Who did it belong to? Why would it be hidden? Was this just a mistake? Or was Jake hiding something? Later that afternoon, I called my best friend, Maya. I didn't tell her everything, but I hinted that I felt uneasy. She knows me well enough to catch what I wasn't saying. Trust your gut, she said. You always ignore it until it's too late. Her words stuck with me. They always do. That evening, Daniel came home in high spirits, completely unaware of the uneasiness growing inside me. Jake acted the same as he had that morning, friendly, warm, like nothing was out of place. At one point, I watched them laugh together while they were cooking dinner, and it almost made me question myself. Almost. After dinner, I noticed Daniel's laptop was missing from the usual spot. He always left it on the side table near the couch. I asked if he had moved it, and he said no. Maybe he left it at work. But something didn't feel right. Daniel's job involved sensitive client info, and he was extremely careful with his laptop. I tried not to panic, but I checked our bedroom just in case. And that's when I realized our closet door had been left slightly open. I always closed it. Always. I stepped inside and saw nothing obviously disturbed until I looked at the small locked drawer where we kept our personal documents. The drawer wasn't just unlocked, it was open. Papers had clearly been shifted. Something had been touched. That was the moment I stopped doubting myself. Whatever Jake was doing here, it wasn't just a friendly visit. That night, I couldn't pretend anymore. Every part of me was on edge. I kept going over everything: Jake's strange comments, the bracelet, the missing laptop, the opened drawer. Something wasn't adding up, and the worst part was, I still hadn't told Daniel. I kept waiting for the right moment, but it never came. He was too busy catching up with Jake, laughing over old memories, drinking beer on the back porch like it was just another relaxing evening. But I couldn't relax, not when I felt like a stranger was slowly peeling back the layers of our lives. I watched from the kitchen window as they sat outside. Jake leaned in close while talking, his face calm, but there was something in his expression, something calculating. I realized then that I didn't know him at all. He wasn't just some friend crashing for the night anymore. He was watching us, studying us. And for what? I still couldn't figure out. Later, when they came back inside, I noticed Jake's eyes lingered a little too long on the hallway that led to our bedroom. I followed his gaze and felt a chill run through me. What was he looking for? Around midnight, Daniel finally went to bed. Jake said he was going to stay up a while longer, scroll through his phone, maybe catch a movie in the guest room. I nodded, forcing a tired smile. But as soon as they were both behind their doors, I slipped quietly into the hallway and tiptoed back toward the living room. That's when I heard it. A faint click, not from a phone or a remote, a drawer. I pressed my back against the wall, holding my breath. Another sound, a soft rustling, like papers being moved again. He wasn't in the guest room, he was in the study. I crept forward, my heart pounding so loud I was afraid he might hear it. From the crack in the door, I saw him crouch near the filing cabinet, flashlight in hand, flipping through our folders like he knew exactly what he was looking for. I stepped back, terrified. My mind screamed to wake Daniel, to do something, anything. But then Jake stopped, looked over his shoulder like he sensed something. His eyes met mine through the crack in the door, and he smiled. I froze, completely. My body wouldn't move. Jake's smile wasn't friendly. It was knowing, like he'd caught me playing a game I didn't understand. And then, just as quickly, he shut the drawer, turned off the flashlight, and walked toward the door. I stepped back fast, almost tripping over the hallway rug, and rushed into the kitchen like I'd just come down for a glass of water. Seconds later, Jake entered, calm as ever. Couldn't sleep either, he asked, pouring himself another glass of water, like he hadn't just been snooping through our private files. I nodded slowly, pretending to yawn, trying to keep my hands from shaking. Yeah, just restless. He leaned against the counter. This house is so peaceful. You and Daniel really built something nice here. Stable, safe. The way he said safe made my stomach twist. I couldn't take it anymore. I wanted to scream, to demand what he was doing in our study, why he had been going through our things. But something in his tone, in his eyes, made me hesitate. He wasn't afraid. He wanted me to know. Like this was part of a bigger game. I went back to bed, locking the door behind me. Daniel mumbled something in his sleep, completely unaware. I sat on the edge of the bed for what felt like hours, the weight of the situation sinking in. Then, sometime around 3 a.m., I remembered something, an old picture Daniel had shown me a year ago. It was of him, Jake, and another guy from college. At the time, I didn't think much of it, but suddenly I needed to see it again. I found the photo album in our bedroom drawer and flipped through quickly, heart racing. And there it was, Daniel on the left, Jake in the middle, but the third guy. That was the twist. It wasn't just anyone, it was my ex, Liam. I hadn't seen Liam in nearly 10 years. Our breakup was messy, complicated, and full of things I had tried hard to forget. He'd gotten into trouble back then, serious trouble, and now I was staring at a photo of him with the man currently sleeping down the hall. Questions flooded in. Had Jake known all along who I was? Had he come here because of me, not Daniel? Was Liam involved somehow? The more I thought about it, the more I realized Jake hadn't just stumbled into our life. This was planned. Every word, every look, every moment. It was all calculated. He wasn't just invading our space. He was digging, looking for something, and I had a terrible feeling it was connected to my past. That bracelet, the missing laptop, the files. It wasn't just about Daniel anymore. It was about me. And I had no idea what Jake knew or what he was going to do next. The next morning, I didn't wait. As soon as Daniel left for work, I confronted Jake. I stood in the doorway of the guest room, holding the photo in my hand. He looked up from his phone, that same calm expression on his face. I held up the picture. You knew who I was this whole time, didn't you? He didn't even pretend to be confused. He just nodded slowly and said, Liam told me you'd recognize that photo eventually. I felt the air leave my lungs. What does Liam want? Jake stood and took a step toward me, but I didn't move. He shrugged. Closure, justice, or maybe just answers. You disappeared, remember? Left everything behind after what happened to him. He says you ruined his life. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Liam had twisted the past into some version that suited him. The truth was, I left because I had to. After months of emotional manipulation, lies, and one terrifying night that still haunted me, I packed my things and walked away for good. I had blocked him on everything. I never imagined he'd come back into my life, let alone through someone Daniel trusted. What did you take? I asked, voice shaking. Jake pulled Daniel's laptop out of his backpack and placed it on the bed gently. Nothing, I was looking. That's all. Liam said you were hiding something and I promised him I'd find it. But there's nothing to find, I whispered. Maybe not, he said, but he wanted to scare you. And I think I've done that. He started to walk past me, but then paused. You should tell Daniel the truth about your past, all of it, before Liam decides to show up himself. Jake left that afternoon, quietly. No drama, no goodbye. When Daniel came home, I told him everything. every detail I had buried for years. He didn't say much at first, just listened. Then he held my hand and said, "You should have told me sooner, but I'm glad you did now." I thought that was the end. Until the next morning, when I found a note on my car windshield. Just 2 words written in block letters. "I'm next." My hands trembled as I stared at the note. The paper was thin, damp with morning dew, and the words, "I'm next," felt more like a threat than a message. I looked around, heart pounding, but the street was empty, calm, just like always, but now nothing felt normal. I showed the note to Daniel. His face changed. He went from supportive husband to protective partner in an instant. "We're going to the police," he said. "This isn't something we handle alone anymore." At the station, I filed a report, gave them the photo, the bracelet, and even told them about Jake and the missing laptop. It all sounded so strange when I said it out loud, but the officer listening didn't flinch. Apparently, Liam had a history, one that had gotten worse over the years. Restraining orders, harassment claims, all buried in another state. He hadn't just been bitter, he was dangerous. The officer told me I'd done the right thing walking away back then. But now that he'd found a way back in, I needed to stay one step ahead. We installed cameras around the house, changed all our passwords, and even updated the locks. Every sound at night made me jump, but with Daniel by my side, I felt a little stronger, a little safer. We didn't hear from Jake again, and Liam never showed up. Weeks passed, then a month. Slowly, the fear started to fade. One afternoon, while organizing the closet, I found the bracelet again. I almost tossed it out, but something stopped me. Instead, I placed it in a small box, along with the note and the photo. Not as evidence, but as a reminder that trusting your gut can save you. That silence gives power to the wrong people, and that secrets, no matter how deeply buried, always find a way back. This whole experience taught me that even in the safest places, shadows can slip in. But when the truth comes out, when you finally stop running, it loses its grip. I didn't ask for this chaos. I didn't expect my husband's friend to bring my past crashing into my present. But now that it's over, I'm not the same person I was before. I'm stronger, I'm wiser, and this time, I'm ready for whatever comes next.